Okay, welcome. Let's call our meeting to order. Okay, roll call. I'm just gonna go around the room.
Jeremy here.
Jeremy, okay, Eder,
Here,
Yeah.
DeBenedetto, okay, Mastel,
you're
here,
before me. That
Di.
D-E, right?
absent. Marcy said she sent an email that she has to work until about 6:30. Okay, and that's all we have, right? We don't have anybody else so far,
I think that's it.
so far. Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, because there's five, so we did advertise for
Uh-huh.
2 additional, and we just got no responses.
Okay, okay,
So when you guys talk it up a little bit, and you
Mhm.
know that you have folks that are interested,
okay.
let us know, and we will officially post it again.
Okay.
Is that a fair, you good with that response?
Sound good?
You got no response at all?
Not on this one, we did not.
Okay,
Oh.
we gotta talk it up more.
How is it posted? Like, should we put an ad in the paper?
That's what it was,
Oh.
two times in a row.
Really?
Oh, wow, okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. Actually, I've been gone, I haven't got my paper.
I figured that was the problem.
Okay.
So that means we don't have a quorum?
We do have a quorum, because we have, Marcy's the only one that's not
But I mean,
here.
we have 6.
No, we only have
Technically, how many people do we have?
5, right?
Yeah, so 3 is quorum.
3 is a quorum, yeah.
Okay, so we're
Okay.
good. Okay, this is maybe related. Okay, we'll go. Okay, approval of minutes from April 2nd. Jeremy sent those out.
I approve the minutes.
Motion, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, motion and second, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, excelente. Okay, new business. Okay, review vacant positions on agency board. Okay, so they were advertised twice, the mayor says, and no applicants. Can I ask?
How many positions were advertised? 2.
2 openings.
Okay,
What from,
That was at the request of this group, that you
Right.
wanted to go from 5 to 7.
that's right.
well, I think that was maybe our original site. I can't remember. Was that, I think that might be our original site.
Your charter just says 5 to 7.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Okay, can I just ask, just brainstorm, what kind of a person would be a good addition to our board?
I was wondering about a resident of the district or a
Oh,
business
yeah.
within the district.
Yeah,
I was actually thinking of Red Lodge Jails because they expanded and they contributed to the
yeah,
fund, and Lindsay might be really good.
yeah.
I think, I'll review in the background.
That would be
It
great.
might be that they're required to be a resident of the city.
Well, I'm not. and
Oh, they're
Marcy
not.
isn't.
They live out
Or
in
there's
East
some
Bend.
numbers of them.
That's
Okay.
right. Doggone it.
But I'm not a resident of the city, and neither is Marcy.
Let me see how many we're allowed to have.
There is some portion that.
Okay, that one, that's good.
Well, then I would suggest, well, I don't know where people live. That's the trouble.
So a resident of the district, or you own a business in the district, that would be great folks, to have, maybe somebody,
And I wonder if a realtor would
a
be
realtor, yeah,
useful.
or some other business owner. Any other characteristics that would be good? Mostly asking for help jog my brain.
Somebody from Mountain Springs
Oh,
Villa.
yeah, the new development, yeah.
Mountain Springs,
Well, is that what it's called?
or the Alpine Basin, that's
Alpine Basin?
the Alpine Basin one, or
Can I think of someone?
the Alpine Basin, or is it,
No, I'm not thinking of Alpine Basin.
what's Mountain,
Mountain Springs is the,
what's that one?
The
manufactured homes. I was trying to think of the proper name.
Oh, yeah, the
Yeah.
manufactured homes, yeah.
They own the land, they own
Mhm.
the homes.
Yeah. Yep.
They were part of one of the original renewal projects.
Cool.
They, if it's the one I'm thinking of, don't they lease that land?
But do they lease it?
Yeah,
No.
they
It's
have
a
the
co-op,
individual lots.
but it's co-op, like, it's like a co-op. They
Yeah.
own it.
Yeah.
We gave them a loan, I know we.
Yeah, it's not your typical, manufactured home.
No, it's
Yeah.
a rock. It's a resident-owned community.
Very cool.
That term sounds familiar to me.
Yeah, resident-owned community, it's a rock. It was
Yeah.
the first rock in the state, so it was the pilot.
Oh,
and
it was the first one?
Yes,
So
and now they're
innovative.
everywhere.
Pioneering.
Yeah, very, very
So.
cool. Okay, thanks for that, you guys. All right, if it's okay, let's move on to our next new business. Okay, clarify term length for new agency board positions. I thought we would, I'm sorry, I'm not prepared with this, but I thought maybe we could look up in our bylaws, which I didn't.
I thought we had just decided that we were appointing them to the full length.
Well, when we started this, we had staggered terms, so
Well, and for the kickoff, I think that was the intent.
Okay.
It would be 4 after every
okay,
subsequent thing, but I
Okay.
don't know if it's written that way in our bylaws specifically.
It is, I haven't, but when we had looked at it before, that we just, when we had decided is we were just gonna appoint them to, so like Joanne got the full term.
okay,
Because it was automatically
okay,
getting staggered, built by when they were getting filled.
okay. So we'll go with the full term, which, does anybody know what the full term
So
is?
it's 4 years?
4 years.
Okay. All right,
I hope I last that long.
And it basically does state just each appointment thereafter shall be for 4 years, so it really
Oh,
doesn't even
perfect.
require cleanup.
all right, sounds good. Okay, well, now I know
And,
these.
and a maximum of 2, up to 2 can be not in the city.
Okay,
What?
great, so that's me and Marcy.
2 can be and not in the
No,
city?
Yeah, so you can have, let
So
me
we
go back.
could have Lindsay.
No, because me and Marcy both don't live in the city.
Oh, you don't?
Mm-mm. I
Oh,
live
that's
in
right, you
Remington
don't.
No more than 2 agency commissioners may
Oh.
be a non-resident of the city of Red Lodge, who
Oh,
live in Carbon County. And so, but they still have to live in Carbon County, be at least 18 years and be registered to vote. Cannot hold any public office under city other than their commissionership with respect to the Urban Renewal Agency.
That's interesting though, because when we started, Al Jones was on the board and he lives in Billings, so.
so, just,
Well,
wait a minute. Does that mean no paid position, or Jeff's on the planning board?
Yeah, I'm the planning board rep.
Uh-huh.
Yes. Oh, so you have an official rep position. Okay,
I think
got
that's,
you.
I think
Yeah.
that's the way it's worded.
I
That's
see,
what I
good.
remember, yeah. Okay.
Be careful not to run for.
Yeah. Okay, well, that's helpful. Okay, should we move on to the Urban Renewal District Agency walking tour?
I'm
in June?
excited.
I'm so excited about that.
Me too.
The MITA, they did a tour of the P factory, I guess, and I didn't,
Who did?
the MITA group, the Montana Economic Developers, when they were
Oh, they
here,
did?
they toured it. And,
Oh,
yeah,
good.
it
Well, I
was
was,
the first one to.
well, I was thinking, well, 2 things. First of all, if we're looking for, new potential members, we can invite
Ooh.
some people that we think might be interested on the
Yes.
walking tour
Yes,
to get them excited about what we're doing.
yeah,
And then I was gonna volunteer to ask the P Factory if we could give
Oh,
us
yay.
a tour.
great.
And then that, remodeled barn where they kept the horses, you know, for the,
Oh, yeah.
if he would show us that.
Yep. Well, and what
He's
is,
done just such a wonderful job.
it's beautiful.
Have you seen it
Uh,
inside?
A couple of weeks ago, I drove by it. Yeah, it looks,
But you haven't been through it inside. I mean, he's
Oh,
used
no.
a lot of recycled materials and it's really,
Beautiful from the outside.
yeah, it's really nice.
Well, I
Okay,
don't-
I would do that.
So then we could, from
Yeah.
there, I mean, those 2 places might take some time. Do we just, like, walk down that street and maybe end up at AY?
What I thought was we should figure out what we wanna ask or what we wanna
Oh.
find out.
Okay, yep,
And then kind of go from there. I just
Sounds
thought of
good.
those 2, because one thing I thought is assets. We want to kind of
Yeah.
do an asset map
mm-hmm,
and a deficit map,
mm-hmm,
right? And what would really be helpful, and I don't have it I mean, it's in the report and everything, but it's so small. I would love a larger map,
Yep.
that we could give out to everybody with the
Yeah.
zoning on it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I can't tell from that little itty bitty
No.
map what's going on. Then we could actually put the route on the map.
Yep.
So I guess those are my thoughts. We
I
need
love
to
it.
we need to have a list of what we'd like to find out. And then,
When you say what we want to find out, you mean from the businesses or from,
know what
from our
we
tour?
would like to know as just assessing the district and what are the potentials, so, I was just reading, that article you sent, that was so cool.
Yeah.
So if we looked, are there vacant spaces that could be utilized, just walking around, saying, oh, there's a vacant lot, nobody seems to be doing anything with that, what's the problem? Is it flooded, is it, what's the drainage? We could just do a lot just from looking.
Mm-hmm.
So like that area between, I walk my dog down by the recycling center all the time,
Uh-huh.
but that area between the road and the ballpark,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure what the plans are for that.
Which area are you talking about between the?
So I walk down the recycling road, yeah. So behind the recycling center and to the south and east, there's an area that I'm not sure what it's really used for. It's not part of the ballpark. The ballpark's up here. I don't know who owns it or if it's planning board has any ideas for it or, anyway, so that's just an example.
Yep.
Of what we might see when we're walking around, or what are some dilapidated buildings that need to be done away with?
Yep.
And I don't know, I hesitate to say this, but there is a move on to make something of the where the cement place is,
Mhm.
and then where the AY supply is,
Mm-hmm.
of either buying the land or, maybe I'm premature in saying anything, but
No.
it's being discussed, and I
Well-
think it's something that we need to be aware of and maybe look at. I'd like to see where all the plots are, and
Mm-hmm.
the city owns a piece in there.
Hmm.
And the other thing, I didn't know if I haven't heard anybody mention it, that the Red Lodge Area Community Foundation has applied for a CDBG grant to do a planning study of this region,
Oh.
the urban development
Oh,
district.
cool. Oh, I didn't know that. Wonderful.
Right? The city passed a resolution saying they were in favor of applying for the funds. I have it,
Great.
right?
I was caught on the previous two, but I'm gonna nod because you have notes.
Oh. So, no, about the resolution, to apply for a CDBG planning grant,
Yes.
like we had before, but it's specifically for the urban renewal
That's
district.
wonderful.
And I was looking at all those nice examples that were sent to us, and a lot of the requirements on a lot of them was that study exists before anybody apply for funds. And so that assessment, that feasibility study is like the first step in any kind of development that would be
So that
taking
would,
place here.
like, identify vacant lots that are.
It would
Right.
identify potential
Potential.
places where
Yeah.
renewal could take place, specifically for housing.
Yep.
I think it's designed mostly for workforce housing
Mm-hmm.
possibilities.
Great. And that's through the city. The city.
So that's actually,
You know more about it than I do, I'm sure.
I was asking, I guess what you're talking about is really developing a plan for the urban renewal area that sets out kind of what the desired outcome is in terms of, what the objectives and goals are for the kinds of developments that want to see within the urban.
Yeah, but I think what was applied for was specifically for housing. I think so, because that's the CDBG grant we had before, the planning grant we had before was specifically for housing.
Great.
So,
Cool.
so anyway, if we got that, a lot of these funds that they talked about were for planning grants, were to subsidize planning grants, and if we already have a planning grant that's being paid for
Great.
outside funds, then we're
Yeah.
a step ahead
Yeah,
of the whole process.
that's great.
Anyway, I wanted to make sure everybody knew about that.
No, I did not know about that. That's really great.
So the planning grant is for housing in general? Basically?
Workforce housing.
Workforce housing in general, okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I don't have a copy of the grant. Just have copies of the city resolution to allow the community foundation to apply for it as a partnership, because,
Yeah.
as you know, it has to be the city that applies
Yep.
for it.
All right, that's great.
So anyway,
Okay.
that's my update.
So,
So what do we want to look for on our walking tour?
Well, the areas
With that
of
all
blight-
in mind. Here's the
Areas
plan.
of blight and potential areas that can be improved. Those are the two main things that I can think of.
Dave, do you know if there's any progress on finding a planner?
Yes, we have a planner. That's Jeremy, but he's not able to be here tonight. Maybe I didn't understand the question properly.
To hire a planner for the city?
So we actually utilize WWC is the company.
Okay,
And the gentleman's name who is the planner that's working directly with us is Jeremy.
okay,
And he was not able to attend tonight's meeting with the conflict.
okay. So
That was
we're,
the one I was talking about up front, sorry.
Right.
we're not gonna have, city's not gonna hire a planner?
We are not hiring a planner at this point in
Okay,
time,
okay.
so.
This is probably not possible, but I'll ask. I mean, it would be really great to have somebody, it would be great to have a city planner with us that as we walk, they know the area and they can be like, oh, that lot is city-owned, or, like, it would be nice to have that on our tour.
So I heard two things. So I think we can get one of them here, so that's
Oh,
not
nice.
necessarily a rule out. Even if it's not the planner, it's a firm, so we could have a representative from the firm that's here. But then the second part that I think I heard, tell me if I heard it incorrectly, was so they could tell us where this was city, or
Well, it's just like
that's the other way around.
Yeah, like an expert guide, somebody that is like from the city that's like, yep, this is what this is and this is what this is.
Jeremy, I'm gonna bet Nickel has Onyx on his phone already. Do you?
This Jeremy?
Right.
And if you don't, I do, and I can come and you can sit down and go,
Yeah.
okay, that's there, that's there,
Okay,
that's there.
perfect.
So it's basically, there's an app called Onyx that
Yeah.
uses cadastral as the underlie.
Yeah.
As long as you understand that cadastral lies, then you're good.
I know it.
Oh, that's good.
Okay, so that's good. Just it'd be nice that we to most efficiently use our time.
That's right. And if we saw a lot that we thought had potential, who owns it, what's the situation?
Yeah.
That
So-
would be good.
Did I miss that you said what date that's going to be?
We haven't specifically.
Well,
we
the
said
date
it
was
already.
wrong. You said the
Well, we said,
16th, and I think it's the 17th is a Monday,
okay.
right? June.
Yeah, 17th is a Monday.
Yeah,
Of
so-
June?
yeah.
That's not like a state holiday, is it?
I don't think so.
Or federal holiday, I'm sorry.
Juneteenth?
Yeah, I don't know if that's always the
That's the
nineteenth or if
19th.
it's the specific Monday. It's always the nineteenth, isn't it?
I think so.
Or is it a Monday? I don't know.
I don't know.
I'm not sure.
I'm not. It's so.
Who knows
Who
what they
knew?
do with holidays?
Yeah.
And the time on it, I'm sorry?
Well, we don't have a time yet.
Well,
Oh, yeah, we have 5:30.
5:30 is when we've met before.
Yeah.
Oh, so this is just during the regularly scheduled meeting?
And so we're just gonna do a walking tour? Is that okay?
Don't look at me, I don't need my permission.
I like the idea.
Yeah, it's gonna be a beautiful evening, unless it snows.
Almost the longest day of the year too, so.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
5:30 is plenty of light.
Plenty of, yeah.
And I just wonder about Marcy, if we should check with her, 'cause I'd be perfectly happy to do it at 6:30.
I would too.
Plenty of light, and
Yeah.
if she could attend.
We could even meet at 5:30 and depart for the tour at 6 or 6:30 or whatever,
Oh, yeah. If we had any business.
if we
yeah.
wanted to.
Yeah.
Did you say 6:30
Well, I mean, I could text
or
Marcy.
5:30?
Does that still impact her in June, or is it just during the school year that was a time frame problem?
Well, she works, today the conflict is work. She doesn't have somebody to come
It
in,
wasn't school board, okay?
not today. They probably don't make their schedule out that far, a month out.
Well, that's just happened a couple times now that
Yeah.
she couldn't come till 6:30, so
Yeah.
I would hate to have the time be why she can't come.
Yep. Okay. Alrighty. Okay, so, I mean, another way that, the way that I kind of look at it is like, so we have maybe probably max of 2 hours to spend. I feel like if we start at the P Factory, go to the other guy in the corner, walk down the street and get to AY Supply, like that's gonna be probably enough for one night.
I don't know.
You don't
The ladies cover a lot. We did most of it in an hour, so.
Oh, you
A little more than an hour.
You did a little dry run?
Well, this is last year, and
Oh.
we stopped and went in the P Factory, and then
Okay.
we stopped and went in the guy's little
Okay.
house
Okay,
and walked up the road and.
okay, okay.
Well, but you were younger than Joanne.
We didn't even have appointments, so it was just
Well, we could-
serendipitous.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Well, I think let's just see, If,
Just see how far
if
we
we
get.
prioritize it and say we absolutely have to do this, I just think you're gonna be so impressed with the P Factory that,
Uh-huh.
as far as, regenerating the whole area
Take them
with
looking
his
at the
plans and his,
Yeah.
see, I don't know if he's a resident, I think he's a resident of Upsworthy,
Okay,
so he couldn't be on it then.
shoot. Okay. Do you wanna plan it for us? Do you want help, somebody to work with you to plan it? Do you wanna plan, or do we have enough? What do we need?
How about if I get my ladies involved?
Yeah.
And I do a draft?
Yep.
Does that sound like an idea?
Mm-hmm. Sounds good.
The
Well,
draft of the route.
a draft walking tour, and if
Uh-huh.
anybody has any, suggestions or changes, or, in the meantime, just go walk around,
Yeah,
yourself,
yep. Okay, that sounds really good.
and say, oh, we've gotta see that, we've gotta go look at that.
Mm-hmm.
So I focus on the assets always, and so
Mhm.
I need to think about the deficits.
Yeah.
There, that's a really nice map. Really nice map. See where the Mountain Springs Villa Park is?
Oh, there it is, yeah.
Yeah, on the
Oh.
other side.
So that's not really in the district, is it?
Yeah,
Oh, it is?
yeah, it's inside the district. Yeah, just on the other side of 212.
It looks like it's on the far side of the yellow line, though.
Was this the area you were talking about?
No, Mountain Springs Villa. over
Oh,
there.
yeah, but I mean, like, near the recycle center.
Oh, where I was talking about, right. Yeah, see Coal Miners Park, and there's the ball field, and then there's kind of an area in there that, I don't know, I gotta walk around it some more and check it out, but,
It's the brown spot up there, right, that you're looking at?
it could
That's
be.
between the
Is that it?
recycling,
Yeah,
So part of where you're looking at, because I'm concerned, because I think it's the water main and the storm main that's.
yeah, that's
Oh,
it,
yeah.
right.
Okay.
Is that, you think that's the water
No, I
main?
was looking up, I would look further north of that.
Yeah, that road is where that,
No, that's Northwest Energy up there, not Northwest Energy, Fairview.
Yeah. Mhm. Okay, all right, so you'll email us with a draft
Yes,
walking tour, great. All right, and then we'll see what Marcy says about, a Monday, yes, it should, she says. So, I asked her, Marcy, wondering if 5:30 would work for an urban renewal district walking tour, June 17th for you. She said, a Monday, yes, it should. So
oh,
we could-
okay,
We could,
5:30.
yeah,
okay, good. Okay, that's great.
Did somebody say it'd be good to have the city-owned land within that area as we walk around, or?
Right, I don't understand these plots, but I have a plot map of it.
I kinda like Dave's idea, and I also have a tablet with, Department of Revenue maps on it that I can,
oh, that's cool.
borrow.
With your
So
permission.
Dave knows, here.
So I think this is AY right here,
Uh-huh,
this is concrete right here. And so
Right.
there's conversations about both of these two properties, and this funky piece in the middle is city land.
oh, that's the
And
city
so by
land.
combining these three together, we do
Uh-huh.
that, then we've got a good location for, like some section 42 housing
Right,
that's basically rent controlled, subsidized, whichever term you want to use.
and tax
But it's
credit.
basically, yeah, tax credit that
Mhm.
keeps it affordable rent, it's on that walkable. So this is
Wow.
one of our two prime spots we're looking at right now.
Oh, thank you, Dave. I've been wondering
Did
how that works.
That kind of helps, so yeah, so this is, basically, the question is the city land here and then the two lands on the side. By way of information, I will show you the other one that we're looking at. And by the way, there's a conversation here. I learned that your boundaries can be adjusted, which I don't know that I understood or remembered. But, so this is Brewery Hill coming up the hill here.
Mhm.
So this is the old road coming around here.
Right,
This is all city land with the exception of a half-acre parcel in the middle here, which we've got some discussions on. One day they were all on board, the next day it's changed.
mhm,
But I actually went up with the developer. We don't need that piece of land to do this housing up here either.
mhm.
One of the things that comes into concern with, so I know this group has talked about acquisition.
Mhm.
Can we use URD dollars for acquiring property? But then the second question is, if we have a piece of city property, what do we need to do to lease it for a purpose that is beneficial to the community?
Mhm.
And there is a precedence. The high school's sitting on an awfully big piece of dirt.
Mhm.
They paid $1 for 100 years.
Wow.
So, can council be persuaded to say that is a good use of city land if we have a section 42 developer
Mhm.
to come in and do that?
Mhm.
And if we do that, do we want to look at including that within that? It's still a contiguous boundary
Mhm.
without it or not. This one, in some ways, is a whole lot easier than the other one. If nothing else, it's less moving parts.
Right,
Mhm.
right. And it's already ready to be developed, so. Fantastic. What's the utilities up there?
Give me more.
Like sewer and water and,
There's already apartment complexes up here, so it's already all right there.
it's already on it.
The other thing is, talking to Tom and that group, and Angela, please jump in and correct me at any point. One of the benefits is, those guys will bring in utilities that are needed.
Hmm.
So for instance, let's suppose Let's suppose this was all empty land and we were bringing in a section 42 developer.
Mhm.
What we would do from a city perspective, I would say, is we give them the far end part, because then they run the utilities all the way up there and everybody else can tap into it, because that's where their funding sources will cover.
Wow.
This is the one that I've had my eye on and think, and I actually went up with the developer and his response was, this is the biggest no-brainer I've seen in years.
Wow. Good, wonderful. And that was part of our original CDBG planning grant. So there's a lot of information on it already that's been engineering information, so
Oh, great.
that's a plus too.
Cool. That's wonderful.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that, Mayor.
Is there any other questions on that, or do you want me to zoom into a different spot? But that you were asking about that piece down by AY. And so I think the piece down with AY is, the question is that there's a third party, and one of the things that came up very early on through this discussion is that an urban renewal district is not a mechanism to condemn people's property, to tell them that they have to sell it, to tell them that they have to.
No.
So both of those two pieces of property there are basically contingent or have dependencies on third parties, not the city, that we don't have control over.
Right.
And then the second part that comes into that conversation, which I have for you collectively as a group, is I know the last time you were here, part of your conversation was, we're gonna get to 200,000 or 300,000 or some watermark
Mhm.
before we spend any money. And my question is, to quote Jack Sparrow, is that gonna be more of a guideline really? Meaning, if this deal starts to come together and you haven't reached that threshold, do you say, yes, that's what we're going for? And do you have as you build that mechanism in, you guys had just talked about building in a floor.
Yep.
I would say, leave yourself an out if something comes up and requires a unanimous vote or something, but leaves yourself some sort of an option to maybe just
Good
take
point.
into account that something, these are all conversations we're constantly and actively having, is just trying to keep an inventory of what those assets are and how they can be used and put together.
Good. That's a good
Very
point.
cool. Yeah.
Like that.
Yep.
We have to be opportunistic.
Absolutely. Yep.
But at the same time, just to dial into something, we have a plan, and then we're opportunistic to fill that plan. What we don't want to do is, we've had other areas in the city where somebody says, oh, there's a $2.5 million grant, let's go apply for it. And
Right.
is that something we were going to do anyway?
Mhm.
Is that something we're interested in, something? So planning and plan so that you can be opportunistic, I guess, is maybe how to
Yeah.
spin that.
Yep.
That kind of takes us back a little bit to setting up the criteria and rating system that's gonna
Yeah.
help trigger
Right.
those kinds of discussions,
Yeah.
because I think we wanna have a pretty good idea of what we're trying to achieve and where, in terms of the kinds of developments that we want,
Right.
wanna
And we
see
don't want
within
to
that.
put some fine print in there that's going to keep it from,
Yeah. Okay, so
We're-
I just wanna, so I'm gonna have us close out this Plan for Urban Renewal District walking tour. So Joanne is gonna draft and send to us. So check that off. Now we're gonna move into old business, which is what we're talking about. Review the proposed grant cycle process for Urban Renewal Agency. So this is what we were hoping to get. Well, okay, so we had talked last time about, having this, having a minimum amount of money, but I don't know how we had worded that. If it was also for applications, but if we're deciding to make our own investment in something, that's not an application, that's investment.
You mean like-
I don't know how that works.
Establishing a minimum threshold or whatever.
Yeah,
Or if the city is doing an acquisition with the funds, we're not applying because it
Yeah.
is the city.
it's
I think
outside
is
of the
what you were saying.
application, yeah, that's a kind of big idea, is, but I still think it should be flexible. Maybe that's in our bylaws that we can overrule.
but the other criteria we discussed was that we're only part of the project, so that
Mhm.
our funding is just one piece of the project that maybe the city can't do, or that some other grant can't do, so that,
Well, remember, you are the city, right? You're making recommendations to the council, who's the governing body. They're ultimately gonna be who writes the checks.
okay.
So we want that expert, opinion from the planner on what does this process look like? And then also the rating system, which is the next item under old business, like a rating system for rating projects.
Can you give me, I'm tapping some notes, because like I said, I forwarded him the notes that we had. You say, what does this process look like? I have rating system, what else did you have?
Well, okay, so for the,
I think for the planner, we wanted to know just some really good examples of other communities and like what do they use for their rating system and how do they really judge projects?
Did, anybody look at what Cody sent out a couple of weeks ago?
Yeah, I looked
Examples?
at all those.
So it might be worth just kind of, I mean, I jotted down some of the key ideas from those that I looked at. I didn't look at them in depth, but I looked at Bozeman and Laurel and the Scappoose, Oregon ones, and that, I guess a couple of the things that kind of came out for me in Bozeman, you know, was set up, seemed to be primarily oriented towards residential, but they had criteria there that restricted that it had to be owner-occupied, year-round residence, primary residence, and no short-term rentals is sort of the criteria. That they were, at least one example of some criteria they were looking at. And then they had a number of, looked like separate grant programs, so low-income, or classes of programs that looked at low-income workforce housing. This maybe doesn't apply here, but they had a grant for downtown fiber optics connectivity, and then they had a grant for planning assistance, so that was, you know, up to $7,500. Laura also had a technical assistance grant for establishing with criteria for establishing grant limits, and they had so for the planning piece, they had up to $25,000 or 300 hours of work at $80 an hour. So if a developer needed to do some planning in terms of, there was a grant program available for that. And then Scappoose had a list of eligible projects that included feasibility and analysis and design services. And then under their guidelines, they had set grant limits for different kinds of projects. Again, if it's commercial, up to 50,000, mixed use was 150,000, and new residential was 10,000 per unit. So that was, I guess, some of the highlights that just glancing through those examples that Cody sent.
Yeah, I looked at the Bozeman one, and again with my affordable housing lens. And so I was most interested, and they had two different kinds. One was creation of studios in one bedrooms, and the other one was affordable housing. So the affordable housing one would be more home ownership that you were talking about. But I just wanted to key on this because we found this is really extremely important, is the sustainability of the affordable housing. And this was, they don't have page numbers, but anyway, this was in B, the Affordable Housing Incentive Grants. So they said that it had to have sustainable affordable housing for a minimum of 20 years. And how to get that was to have a community land trust and/or deed restrictions. And and the other thing is, on one of the other ones, I can't remember which it was, it had to be, couldn't be a nonprofit, it had to be somebody who was paying taxes on the property. We just ran into this in Red Lodge with we applied for a loan from the coal board. And they said we had to be paying property taxes, but we're on community land trust land. And we had to go around and around and around and around. And the good news is we just got the loan.
Really?
Yes, today.
Wow.
Is that exciting?
That's very,
But I can't tell you, I was involved in all the discussions. That one little piece that probably people weren't really thinking about when they put it in there would have almost made us ineligible. We had to get lawyers involved. We had to say that this community land trust is a mechanism for sustaining the affordability, and you can't rule it out. You can't say if you're on a community land trust or city land or whatever, that you're not eligible for that grant or loan or whatever it is. So I think the wording, that's from in the weeds, you know, probably whoever wrote it up wasn't even thinking about
I'm sure.
that.
Yeah.
But I think, so I learned a lot from reading these. I thought that was, thank you for getting them to us, Jeff, because I thought that was really helpful.
By way of information, the email that Jeff was just referencing, I just noticed that you all were not included.
He
so you
forwarded
know,
to us,
so
but
you will
I-
have it now.
But
I-
Jeff sent it to us.
I missed,
Okay,
I
all right.
saw it, but I,
So now you have 2 copies.
Yeah, it was really interesting. But I must say that I know who helped write the Bozeman one, and he's super good. Brian, he came and talked at one of the forums on housing, and he knows everything about it. And I think that's why Bozeman and Big Sky are both going gangbusters, because of his in-depth knowledge. So I really look to Bozeman as a good model.
Would it be worthwhile having him join one of our meetings through Zoom or whatever to
like it.
provide some ideas or thoughts?
Can we do that? Do we probably have to pay him? Does he work for or is he?
He works for HRDC.
They would probably let him do that for us.
And he used to be on Trust Montana's board when we were getting started, so he helped us, you know, really hone our system. And then he got so busy.
Yeah. Wow.
Anyway, yeah, he's a great asset, and he was one of the forum speakers at that first housing meeting they had. I had a few more things under new business, if you want. I don't want to distract you. Are you done with this?
Okay, let's see. So are we good with, well, I had moved on to old business already.
Yeah.
Are we good with, do we have all we, Mayor, do you have all that you need for having input from the planner on these 2 things? Maybe we already got it.
I can show you the notes, and looking for examples from other communities on how they rate judge projects. And then I also add a note, see examples previously provided by Cody Markser. By the way, the email that I just forwarded on to all of you,
Okay.
I CC'd him on.
All right.
So I think, tell me if I'm hearing it wrong, is part of what you were asking for, actually Cody had provided us via
Yes, I
email,
think
and we
so.
were just
Yeah.
spacing it, forgetting it.
Yep.
And so the question is, do you have anything you want to add to that?
Yeah. What does the group want for those 2 things from?
Well, I don't think we really got the rating system. We got the goals, and we got the descriptions of the projects, and we got really nice application examples, which I thought were really helpful. But I didn't see a rating system, did you?
No.
For how to assess the applications?
What I liked about it was the examples they had in terms of, you know, the kinds of grants and the fact that they actually were funding the studies or funding helping a developer come up with the appropriate design as part of that grant, which then becomes part of the package that it comes to the board for review. But I think that, to me, that was kind of eye-opening. I hadn't even thought that was something that was eligible, but.
I really liked the Laurel one, because, and we could even do that, they just set aside $25,000 for technical assistance.
Yeah.
You know, that's not a lot. And then people could apply for a small grant out of that to help with the planning. So if, you know, just taking a small piece and saying, well, that's gonna be for technical assistance, I thought that was really, Laurel's not as big and rich as Billings, so I thought it was.
Big Sky actually has a really good, it's for their resort tax, so it's a different, you know, tax structure, but in a lot of ways, their rating systems that they have for applying for funds are really good. Like, they have it dialed into, you know, some very select categories of things, and it just occurred to me that might be a good place to.
Yeah,
So I'll look into that and see if I can find anything there.
good.
Okay, so we would still like some examples from the rating system, and Jeremy's gonna get one from Big Sky. Is that what I'm hearing from the group?
Yeah.
Okay. So,
Well, if you want to stick to your schedule, I could stick it in under old business.
Sure.
This is just some examples that,
hang
again,
on
I was inspired by reading those.
1 second, I'm just gonna make sure Dave knows.
Oh.
So we're looking for a rating system proposal or examples?
Yeah,
Okay,
so that's what I have, is rating
Okay.
system, and then looking for examples from other communities and how they rate judge projects.
Sounds good.
After that correctly.
okay, sweet, sounds good. Okay, all right, Joanne, go for it.
A couple of the examples had, one of the things that they did is to look at blighted lots and blighted buildings. And I was just gonna share what happened in this little town in Ohio where my family comes from, and I visit frequently. And they developed a special, it must have been through TIF funds, I guess. I didn't know that before, but I read this. To buy up dilapidated properties. So, and I had a friend who lived in one. She had all her tax, she was single, she had no money, and the house was kind of falling down around her ears. And it was an eyesore. You know, you come down the main street, under these nice homes, and here's this thing that looks like something out of a horror movie, you know. And she didn't have any money to fix it up. She was living in one or two of the rooms, and it was just terrible. The water didn't work, her bathroom didn't work. So the city planners took it on, and they bought the property, probably using the TIF funds from her for a very small amount, but enough to put her in an assisted living place. Now she has a nice place to live, she's looked after, and they have the property, and they can tear down the house and put something nice or resell it. So some of the things said you could resell it, actually, and recoup
Just acquire
your
it.
money, and of course
Move it
you
on.
couldn't pay the taxes, so you're gonna replace it with somebody who can pay the taxes.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a win-win. So I just wanted to throw that example in. It's part of the old business.
Yes.
Yeah, the thing that I liked, that, maybe could explore a little bit more is the examples of the kinds of things that get funded, beyond just, I was always kind of locked in that, paying for water and sewer and some of that, but some of the things you're talking about, land purchase or feasibility studies or design, kinds of opportunities, that was what was kind of eye-opening to me in terms of what these other communities were funding.
And I have one more example. So on the plane coming home Saturday night, I happened to sit next to this amazing young woman who works for the governor of North Dakota, not South Dakota, North Dakota.
So your dogs are fine?
Yeah, her dogs are fine, right. she's from Billings, she grew up in Billings, she was coming home from Mother's Day, but she's a consultant. She was reading this, and I picked her brains about it, and she gave me the book,
Oh,
and it sounded wonderful, but she works in Fargo, and she's been working on redevelopment in Fargo and using TIF funds, and I told her about what we were doing. And she showed me one project they did, and I had almost forgotten about how important it was, and it was for a square, for a meeting place, a nice park, but that any community kind of needs that as a focus point and as a way to keep the community together. So, so I was real impressed. And talking about combinations of the land that the square was on belonged to the big corporation. She had her offices in it, but downstairs was a hotel, and then the first couple of floors were business offices, and the corporation owned the whole building, and then the top floors were hotel. And then they had taken the land right next to it to make into this nice space and parking area. So it was a real collaboration of city and corporate and
government.
different funding structures. So anyway, she gave me her address. She'll consult with us if we want.
Dang, that's so great.
Or she gave me a lot of references too to look up, but she gave me her book.
Nice.
This isn't specifically on our meeting either, but do we want to make when we first started, we all were citing different projects
Yeah,
as like a example case study
Yeah.
each week. Do we want to do that
I
again?
think
I kind of like it.
it feels like there's interest. So
It
Joanne,
kind of fell off the radar. But
yeah. Well, yeah, I thought about it one time when I was doing the agenda, but I didn't really know what. So Courtney's idea was, when we very first started, that everybody would, each meeting, somebody would present
Oh,
an example or something, so we could kind of just raise our
good
TIF
idea.
IQ. So and when she left, we didn't put that back on the agenda, so
That's a great idea.
Okay, so-
I like that.
do you like that idea too, Jeff?
Yeah, no, I think that's good. I mean, we're just kind of forming and trying to feel out and get a better understanding of what TIFs are and
Yeah.
how they function
Okay.
and the kinds of projects that was.
Okay. All right. So we'll, especially if we get 2 new board members, we'll need to continue that. So, so for July, so June, we're looking at our own, and potentially July too, I guess, we'll see. But I'll just try really hard to remember that, and if I miss it, please tell me, and I'll revise the agenda.
That's a good winter project.
Yeah, that's right, that's true, yeah. Okay.
Needed volunteer for July, I'll do it because
Okay, great,
I thought of it.
Oh, good.
great, good idea, you do it. Okay, awesome. Okay, now, are you ready for treasurer's report?
Sure. So Lori got back to me today on, so far they've collected $56,049.27 into the TIF for this year. So that means that covers the first half of collections, since most people pay their property taxes in halves.
Mhm.
Some people pay the full year, which is why it's a little bit over. But that tracks with, our rough goal of about 100,000 for the end of the year.
How much did you say?
56,049 as of April 30th.
Okay. So that means they got the system set up, they're just regularly collecting.
Yep.
Okay,
And so the next half will probably round out that roughly, to 100,000.
mhm,
And then
okay.
next year, it'll include the new property that's been built, and it'll probably be, more than an additional some
Mhm,
amount.
okay, great.
So, this is my dumb question. So next year, we'll get that, or right, the first quarter of the next year, theoretically, we'll get 56,000 plus any new people, right?
Correct.
Exactly.
Correct.
Perfect. So it's every year.
Yeah. Yep, so you can also say that adds to the base, which is that, I don't know if that's the word you would use, because the base, then you mixing terms, because base is the base year.
Right, don't get it mixed up with our base year.
Right.
And don't get it mixed up with our increment. That's
Yeah.
different.
So here's, well, actually, the way these generally go is then you determine a base year, and then what happens is that's a straight line there, and then your growth comes in.
Right.
It does something like that. So what Jeremy is describing is this 56,000.
Yeah.
And to your point, Joanne,
Mhm.
you would expect to see that 50, plus
Yeah.
you would expect to see a little bit of development.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
that would continue to proceed after that.
Yep,
Is that a good for finger drawing, Jeremy?
that's
Pretty
really
good.
good.
Okay. Great, okay. We're cooking with gas now. We got
We have real,
We
we're
have
talking real dollars.
real dollars.
That's great.
It's not a,
That's fantastic.
it's not a mystery
Thanks,
anymore.
thanks to Lori for getting that to us.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Alrighty, okay. Next, we have written correspondence. Do we have any petitions and communication from the audience?
Thank you for asking, no.
Okay, well, thanks for coming.
I will relay on that I talked to, had a follow-up conversation, Bogios had reached out to me, the coffee
Yeah.
place that had originally reached out and wondering about, I had relayed on the conversation as I understood kind of the course it was taking both from this group and from council to kind of save up and she went, so are we not gonna be, I don't know, because you weren't required to do pavement as part of it, in which case, okay, we're good. So there was not a large disappointment on their spot. Their initial concern was that gonna keep them from opening, and
Oh,
when they were reminded that that was not part of their conditional use, that it must be paved,
okay.
then they were like, we're totally chill, we get it, we understand.
Good.
Good.
So,
Okay, great. So is Angela on as well?
she is.
Angela, do you have, or anybody else from the audience have any comments or communication or anything?
I don't, but I really appreciate the conversations about the urban renewal site and the Brewery Hill site. So I think those are great to be out and be talking about. So thank you.
Great, thanks for coming, Angela.
You bet.
Can I just say one thing that did pop into my mind when you were showing that lot on the top of Brewery Hill?
Oh,
It just made me think again about if we're gonna have, if that comes to pass, like we need some walking paths. It's treacherous.
Do you know that we're already in that conversation with MDOT?
Yay, that's great. No, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I'm out of the loop.
We're already in that, and MDOT is completely supportive and backing, and apparently even willing to pay for a substantial part of it. So right now, we have BRTA working on them and setting that up. So we started that conversation a couple months ago. So
Okay. That's great.
Fantastic.
Yeah, a lot of people.
it's not past tense yet, but all the right
Yeah.
players are at the table and
Good.
having the conversation, and the approach has been, what obstacles do we need to figure out how to remove, not why, here's why we can't do it.
Yeah.
What problems do we need to figure out how to solve in order to make this
Right.
go through, and they're completely on board.
Good. Well, I mean, it's like a glaringly obvious challenging spot. Okay, great. All right, next we have other business. Do you have any other business? All right. I guess then, next meeting, so that's June 17th, sorry about that typo, and at 5:30. And then,
Is it gonna be 5:30 or 6:30, did we decide?
well, Marcy thinks she could be there at 5:30. So right now, we're saying 5:30. And then are we meeting, so meeting location TBD? Do we want to meet here and drive over there, or what do we want to do? We'll decide that. We'll just write meeting
Yeah, we'll
location.
decide that when we get our route.
Yeah. Okay, so then, I don't know what the rules would be, so we would have a quorum. Do we just know, is that just the full agenda is the tour?
An asset map.
Yeah,
We're developing an asset map of our, right? Isn't that what you call it?
I think, yeah, I mean,
You can even put agenda items as things we're considering on our walk.
yeah, yeah.
Kind of our walking to-do list.
Mhm. Okay, what would those
This
be?
is, this is not one of the ones that is legally required to be recorded, and we're under 10,000 anyway, so. You'd want to collect minutes, but if I understood your question properly, are you legal to have your walking tour as your meeting? I believe you'll be okay,
Okay,
and I'm happy to take on and follow up.
so and what would the agenda look like? You know what I mean? Like, what should we have for our agenda?
So, like Joanne was saying, identify assets, identify areas of blight, opportunities, gather information on existing projects like the pea cannery.
Yeah,
Yeah, those are the big ones that I think.
We need to be careful as we phrase that, because to my understanding, the pea cannery is not currently utilizing any URD dollars or funds.
Sure.
It's an improvement, but we don't want to, we want to be sensitive to the fact that there were some people that were like, why are we funding private projects versus, government or, common good projects?
okay. Okay, great. So then the public is invited, right? I mean, like,
I would.
yeah.
Mhm.
So it'll be just, so I'll try to do the agenda, well, whenever we get, it needs to be a week in advance, is that right? Or is
It
it,
needs to be 48 hours in advance,
Okay.
so if we get it out by Thursday,
okay, we'll
the
definitely
week
have it
before,
before
then
then.
we're good.
Okay. So then,
I'll mention it to the planning board at our
Great.
meeting next
Oh.
week as well. So anybody else from the planning board wants to attend, but they'll know about it.
mhm.
Do you plan to, if I may, do you
Please.
plan to meet here and transport, or meet there and take roll?
That's what we're gonna decide. We don't know yet.
They've left the TBD. I was just kind of looking at the map and trying to figure out where is a good spot over there that you could kind of decide
Because
in
I was gonna
advance.
follow up and
So,
say you might
like
ask
the
if park
recycling
is
center.
available.
Ooh, yeah.
Good idea.
CART.
Oh, what a good idea. Yeah.
Oh,
If we did meet here, that might be,
Or just say if anyone is disabled and would like to go on the tour.
Exactly, if people are immobile
Yeah.
or disabled, and
That's a
cart is
wonderful-
available, it would be a
Wonderful
great,
idea.
synergy.
mhm.
Mhm.
I love it. We could even call CART now and just say, hey, can you be available for this 2-hour time frame?
And if he's not, I've got a flatbed trailer and I promise not to pop the clutch.
Okay, fun. This is gonna be so fun. Now, it just needs to be nice out. No snow.
So rain plan B is council chambers?
probably should have a plan B.
Oh,
Yeah.
rain. Oh, rain.
I mean, rain is fine.
Joanne's like, bring an umbrella.
It'd be so fun to have a rare raincoat, but,
That's right. Not pouring, however.
yeah. Okay. Okay, well, I'll draft an agenda and hopefully somebody will, if it's not right, tweak it and make it better. Okay, I guess that's it then. We can adjourn? Got everything? Okay. Great, thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for
Thanks
coming.
for
Thank
coming.
you.
Thank you all for your dedication.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming, Angela.
You bet. Bye-bye.
Good.